Tonight on Here and Now, he's asking for Canada's highest court to hear his appeal. In the meantime, Doug Snellgrove, the officer convicted of sexual assault while on duty, has been granted bail.
Do not confront this gentleman, and let's see for a safe outcome to this and get the residents of the Burin Peninsula back in a comfort zone where they can relax and live a normal life.
He's been wanted by police for nearly 10 days. A Marystown resident with a record will bring you the latest on the ongoing search in Burin. And a World Championship trophy makes its way to Mount Pearl in honor of the best ball hockey players in the province.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. Doug Snellgrove is once again out of prison. The St. John's police officer wants the country's top court to weigh in on his sexual assault conviction, and he was granted bail while he waits on the outcome of that appeal application. Here and Now's Malone Mullen has our top story.
It's not deja vu. Doug Snellgrove is no longer behind bars, yet again. A Court of Appeal judge granted the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary officer bail earlier today, saying he didn't pose a threat to the public. Snellgrove was convicted of sexual assault and sentenced to 4 years in prison last winter. He served about 6 months of that in Dorchester Penitentiary in New Brunswick. Today, he can head home while he waits on an application to the Supreme Court of Canada. This is Snellgrove's last gasp, his final chance at overturning his sex assault conviction. After numerous trials, a court found that Snellgrove sexually assaulted a woman he drove home from George Street while he was on duty in 2014. Now, nearly 10 years later, he's arguing that his rights were violated during his last trial, when the judge met with his lawyer without him there. It's the same argument he made to the Provincial Court of Appeal earlier this year, an argument that got him nowhere after the appeal was dismissed. This time around, his lawyers say it doesn't matter that he signed a designation allowing his lawyer to represent him. He should have been at that meeting anyway. Snellgrove's lawyer says that Court of Appeal ruling will have sweeping national consequences, affecting the rights of the accused across the country to be present for all parts of their own trials. That would make it of interest to Canada's top court. But the bar for getting the National Supreme Court to hear a case is high. Only 6% of all applications were accepted last year. If the Supreme Court denies his appeal application, Snellgrove will have 16 months left to serve behind bars before he's eligible for parole. Malone Mullen, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the police hunt continues this evening for a Marystown man who's thought to be armed and has been evading arrest for nearly 10 days. Tony Farrell is facing multiple charges and is being blamed for creating a sense of fear over the years on the Burin Peninsula. Here and Now's Terry Roberts reports.
The RCMP say arresting this man is a top priority. Tony Farrell is 36, a resident of Marystown, responsible for much of the crime taking place in the region, says Marystown's mayor, and creating a sense of fear among residents and business owners.
He held our town in, for a better word, in captivity because people were afraid to go out without locking their doors. It turned our town from a peaceful, very welcoming, loving town to a town that's on edge and in fear all the time.
A warrant for Tony Farrell's arrest was issued on July 19th. He's facing multiple charges. An emergency alert was issued Wednesday afternoon when police learned Farrell was in Swift Current, a distance of 120 kilometers from Marystown. Police warned that Farrell was thought to be carrying weapons with the intent to use them. Residents were advised to stay inside with doors and windows locked, and at one point the road through the community was closed. The search involved drones, neighborhood canvassing, and a police dog. The vehicle he was driving was seized by police, but Farrell managed to evade capture following an hours-long search. It's not known how Farrell has been getting around since abandoning the vehicle. The hunt shifted to the tiny community of Goose Cove yesterday. Residents were ordered to take shelter, but again, no arrest. While Farrell has a criminal record, police say he hasn't been known to use firearms in the past. Marystown's mayor hopes the search for Farrell ends peacefully.
Do not confront this gentleman, And let's see for a safe outcome to this, through a quick capture of Tony Farrell and get the residents of the Burin Peninsula back in a comfort zone where they can relax and live a normal life. We really want the RCMP and the judicial system to put Mr. Farrell in the position he needs to be in for the next multiple years.
The RCMP says it is following up on all tips and is promising updates as soon as new information becomes available. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
An advocate for Ukrainians living in a St. John's hotel says people want to move into more permanent housing, but it isn't so easy.
They showed me some of their pay stubs. They work full time, but they're bringing home less than $2,000 a month. When you consider they had to buy food, they have kids, one lady pays over $300 a month for car insurance. So basically we're suggesting that they're going to be living in poverty or be homeless in less than a week's time.
John Fowler has two friends who have been living at the Holiday Inn since arriving in the province. Earlier this week, the NDP slammed government for pushing those Ukrainian newcomers to move on and find their own accommodations. Jim Din says it's not reasonable with the high cost of living and lack of affordable housing. CBC spoke with two single mothers who've been given letters encouraging them to leave the hotel. We are protecting their identity. One mother says finding a place of her own isn't an option if you can't find regular work.
Around 3,000 Ukrainians arrived to St. John's, arrived to Newfoundland, but around 10-20% have find job. When we can rent apartments, we can leave hotel. But we can have opportunity only in situation when we have work.
Well, John Fowler, that woman's friend, says the Association for New Canadians is doing a great job, but says it's limited in the support it can offer. And we're not done with this story yet. Ahead in about 20 minutes on Here and Now, John Fowler will dive deeper into the concerns he has for the next group of Ukrainian newcomers.
Well, there's no denying that the last couple of weeks have been extremely warm for parts of the province, and the numbers are in. So Rodney Barney posted a couple of things on Twitter just about a half hour ago, saying that the past 2 weeks was the warmest 14-day stretch. About the daily average high was 27.5 degrees from July 15th to the 28th, and that breaks the record of an average of 26.3 that was set back in 2014. Not only did St. John's break that record, but Gander also broke that record, an average high of 28.9, and that broke the record from 2014 as well. Now, not only was it hot, it has been humid, and Gander broke the record earlier from this year. So you broke two records this year already, 365 hours in a row you saw humidity. So definitely the muggiest weather you've ever experienced in Gander. The good news is we can say goodbye to it for a little while. We'll get into the details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, it's been over a year since a Cormorant helicopter crashed in Gander during a training flight, injuring the 6 people on board. Now, the Royal Canadian Armed Forces has released a final report on the crash, outlining the causes and preventative measures. Here Now's Henrika Wilhelm has more on those findings.
A faulty chair was the cause of the crash. That's the final result of the Flight Safety Investigation Report. A reminder, the crash happened on March 10th, 2022. A Cormorant helicopter with 6 crew members was on a training flight. During hovering maneuvers, the aircraft crashed on the runway. Not only was the helicopter completely destroyed, 4 crew members had minor injuries, 2 had serious injuries. A first report issued a month after the crash said that the pilot's seat dropped just before the crash. Today's report confirmed that led to the crash. The investigation determined the pilot's seat wasn't locked properly. The seat dropped from its highest to its lowest position about 5 inches. The pilot became disoriented, thinking the helicopter was on a right tilt. he overcorrected to the left. The report also found the seat had already dropped once before takeoff. The pilot readjusted and relocked the seat and did a wiggle check, basically just moving the seat around to make sure it's locked in position. Seats not locking properly is, according to the report, a known issue for the CH-149 aircraft. The report states several times pilot fatigue was not an issue. As for how to prevent this from happening again, the report says crews have already been reminded of what to do to stop uncontrolled seat movements and to report any material malfunctions. Going forward, it recommends a procedure to make sure pilot seats are adjusted correctly and inspections to check whether seats are too flexible and need to be fixed. The Armed Forces declined CBC News' request for an interview on the report. Henrike Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the head of the Human Rights Commission says the province could benefit from community legal clinics. Carrie Majid says many people don't qualify for legal aid, so while some are able to seek guidance for criminal issues and refugee assistance, many others have nowhere to go. Majid was the guest on CBC Radio's The Signal yesterday, speaking about some of the barriers that exist within the province's legal system.
They want legal advice, not to be told what to do, but like they want to have a conversation with somebody, tell their story, and figure out solutions using somebody who can give them advice on what are their best options. And that's what's missing here. That's not available to people.
Well, the regatta brought out some big crowds today, not in St. John's. That event is next week, but in Wabush. It was one of the final events to mark this year's Come Home to Wabush. Here Now's Daryl Din brings us more.
This was the 51st year that people in Labrador West took to the lake for the annual regatta. The opening ceremonies kicked off the races with local dignitaries. Race started at 8 a.m. and went throughout the day. 18 teams competed, going through 9 races to crown the men and women's champs. Once things warmed up, folks came out for the events, from games, face painting, bouncy castles, and lots of meat, from pulled pork to hot dogs. It was an exciting race for those around the lake.
It's awesome. We just finished the men's final and Industrial Sales came out with a win. It was a 10-second difference between first and second. The lake's been very good, but the rain held off. A little bit of a crosswind, but we had great starts, no false starts, no disqualified teams.
The crowds were extra large this year, thanks in part to the regatta being a part of Come Home to Wabush. The mayor of Wabush says even though people come and go from Wabush, they have strong ties.
You might leave Wabush, but Wabush never leaves you. So, and it's true to it's in your heart all the time.
The regatta was a great way to cap off Come Home to Wabush. Now I got to get myself a hot dog. Daryl Din, CBC News, Wabush.
Well, some of our best ball hockey players have been waiting to hold their World Championship trophy. Last night, they finally got the chance. 9 players from Newfoundland and Labrador were part of Team Canada's victory at the Under-21 Women's World Junior Ball Hockey Championship a few weeks ago. Now, 5 of them are back on the floor competing in the National Junior Championships in St. John's this weekend. After a game last night, the players were surprised with the trophy and a pep talk from Team Canada's general manager.
I need you to know and understand who you are, because you are the face of Newfoundland ball hockey. And I will tell you, you're more than that. And it doesn't matter what color jersey you're wearing in this room. And it doesn't matter what trophy you've had or what medal you've had around you. The minute you decide to step on that floor, you've made a difference in girls in sport. And that's important.
I find I've been doing it for a long time, but once the music starts, I always feel the goosebumps.
And he hopes it catches on. You may have walked the pedestrian mall in downtown St. John's, but what about dancing it? Meet the man giving free Latin lessons this weekend.
Well, that looks like fun. The weather this weekend going to be a bit unsettled for some areas. We're certainly going to see the sun, but temperatures will be much more comfortable. I'll get into all the details when I come back.
Well, it's weekend time, Ashley. And before we get into the weather, though, it was such a change today between the rain and then the sun came out. It was, quite the day. Turned into a beautiful day.
It did. Much needed rain out there, though, today across a good chunk of the eastern portion of the Avalon, or eastern portion of the island anyway. About 2 to 5 millimeters fell here in St. John's. Further south, significantly more rain. But as soon as that sun came out, boy, did it get warm. 24 degrees in St. John's this afternoon, a little cooler. Again today, a little bit less than expected towards central, about 26 or 27 degrees, 21 in Corner Brook. Same thing for St. Anthony. Along the south coast, your temperatures were nice and warm. 24, 25 degrees today, and then up across Labrador, temperatures ranging from about 14 to 21 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Now, temperatures are pretty much where we were sitting yesterday at this time, really not moving much. In fact, up a degree or two along the south coast, much warmer than that, between 4 and 6 degrees warmer than it was. But the difference from today, especially through parts of central and even the west coast, but really through central, is the lack of humidity in the air. We talked about that humidex earlier and how finally the dew point has dropped, and that is giving us much more comfortable temperatures. So in Gander's 23, feeling only like 26, but we're still hanging on to that humidity further east. St. John's 24 feels more like 30. So the reason for that is where the dew point is sitting, like I said, about 9 on in the west coast. That means it's very pleasant, in fact, pretty dry. And Gander only at about 13, but for St. John's, it's 18 at the moment. So as we head through the next couple of days, we are going to start to see the humidity decrease, especially across the Avalon. Tomorrow may feel a bit humid at times, but then we'll start to see that drop, more comfortable temperatures, maybe a bit muggy, but overall more comfortable, certainly than it has been for the past 2 weeks. And that is going to continue at this point through midweek next week. Now, as far as what's going on right now, not a whole lot. There's that blob of rain that fell earlier today. That moved off into the afternoon hours, leaving an absolutely gorgeous day pretty much across the island. Up across Labrador, still looking at some cloud cover. And the chance of some showers will move in as we head through the next couple of hours, especially for Lab City. And that will work its way further east as we head through the night. So some of this rain will likely be heavy at times, particularly in the early morning hours. And we'll see that head towards central Labrador as well as the west coast as we get into 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. So keep that in mind. Temperatures tonight are going to be cooler than they have been for the past couple of nights as well. We're looking at between 12 and 16 degrees across the island. Low-lying areas may see these temperatures dip a little bit more than that. Up across Labrador, single-digit temperatures pretty much the rule, except in Happy Valley Goose Bay, where you will sit around 13 degrees. Now watch this line. This is going to continue to track further east as we get into the morning hours tomorrow, eventually taper off. But it does look like another line potentially will develop late afternoon into the early evening through central, and this may spark some lightning. So if you do have plans outside tomorrow, make sure you have your eye to the sky. That will move through fairly quickly. And by the time we get into the evening hours on Saturday into the early morning hours on Sunday, we should start to see some things clear out. Now, as far as the Avalon is concerned, we're still looking at sunshine to start, but some cloud cover will eventually move in and maybe the chance of a few showers as well. That will be the story pretty much for Happy Valley Goose Bay and coastal areas of Labrador as well. Along the south coast, it's looking pretty decent. Thunderstorm risk tomorrow, like I said, developing. You may hear a few rumbles in the morning, but it does look like the best chance will be in the afternoon, and they will work their way east as the afternoon rolls through. Here's your temperatures for tomorrow. Like I said, much cooler, or much more comfortable, I should say, not much cooler, really only a degree or two. But generally the mid-20s will be the daytime highs. Southwest winds will be a bit gusty, between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour. As you head towards the west coast, the best chance of seeing the sun will be in the later afternoon, around 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, but overall temperatures right around normal for this time of year. Labrador, cooler, especially towards the north. 10 degrees will be your daytime high, but again, most of you will be looking at that cloud cover. So that's a look at your Saturday forecast. Sunday looks pretty decent in some areas. I'll get into those details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, Tendai Madunji moved to St. John's from Zimbabwe to do civil engineering at Memorial University, but something else keeps him moving. He's also owner of Jabula Entertainment, where he teaches Latin dance classes. And this weekend, he'll be sharing his fancy footwork for free at the Pedestrian Mall. He stopped by the CBC studio to give our Martin Jones and a few other colleagues a lesson.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll do the 10 this time. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What was it about dancing that just you connected with in the very beginning?
So the first big thing is like a fun activity. Anyone can do it. Especially for me coming here, there wasn't many people I knew initially. So dancing is a good way to always keep connecting with people. And I used to play a lot of sports before. But when I came here, there's a lot of winter sports. So I felt like dancing connected me to my love for sports again. So the good thing with dancing, you can do it anywhere. So do it in studios, we'll do it outside, and even at the mall too.
What kind of dance classes do you offer?
So primarily Latin dances. So my favorite dance would be bachata. Yeah. So bachata is like one of the popular Latin dances now, and it's fairly easy and open for anyone to do.
Describe exactly what bachata is.
So bachata itself, there's a lot of hips within bachata, and it's like a happy dance. So where the dance comes from, like traditionally in Dominican Republic. So it was something that it wasn't really technical or like what we see today. It was just something for the whole family to do. So it could be at a wedding, after the wedding, people would just gather. So you get someone who's an older, respected person in the family dancing with the younger people.
You're going to have a session on the Pedestrian Mall this weekend teaching this. Why is this a good fit?
So the mall is a good fit, firstly, because right now it's very hot. And a lot of our buildings we have here, we don't have good air conditioning. So at least outside, we don't have to worry about people getting too hot. And also the mall is like, the pedestrian mall right now is one of the popular places on a Saturday. So it's like outside, there's a lot of space there. We can get an outdoor speaker. So people can get to enjoy dancing, they can get to meet with their friends. And also there's many restaurants, many things close by where they can also get to enjoy it too.
A lot of people get a little bit nervous, maybe a little apprehensive to try something like this. For people who've never tried it before, what's your advice to get them to sort of test it out for the first time?
So like anything, the hardest part is always the first step. So you just have to put yourself out there. So the good thing, they're incapable of hands. I've been teaching for a very long time, so almost 5 years now. So I sort of understand everything very well. But I always find when I'm teaching people, I find a way to simplify it and explain it in the basic things that they do every day. Yeah. So it's also fun that way. Like even for me, I actually never danced until maybe I was 23, 24. So no dancing at all, nothing. I used to be the person who used to, when the music come, I would always make an excuse to get myself out of there. But I find with time, by just getting myself out there, slowly doing it, learning from as many people.
Oh, is that like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this time when you did, keep holding that arm there.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
So you notice when you change.
Oh, and like
that.
In your classes that you offer through Jabula Entertainment, what kind of people do you see come across your door?
So funny enough, we actually see like all levels. So I've taught kids that are almost like 5, 6, and I've taught people that are almost in their 70s. So that's the beauty of Latin dance, and I think that's what makes it popular. It's not a really technical dance. Don't need to invest too much time. And there's a way, the way the dance is structured, there's a way you can get to dance with many people, so that's no problem.
Yeah, I should have
so that's it.
Yeah, I think so.
We tried again. Yeah, we did.
What do you get out of all this?
So myself, the biggest thing I find, I get like an adrenaline rush from the dancing part. I find I've been doing it for a long time, but once the music starts, I always feel the goosebumps.
Yeah.
And I find there's like a certification of in teaching people, because it's like you're using your knowledge to try. Because you see people like when they start, they're a bit nervous, but the more you teach, the more you show them, you can see the belief coming in. So it's almost like my superpower.
I saw 2 different versions of the letters. Some were told that they could not appeal and that their situation was they had to be out by August the 4th.
Not enough time and not enough money to make it on their own. I'll speak with an advocate for newcomers about the push to move Ukrainians out of a St. John's hotel. That's just ahead. And I'm here at the Holiday Inn. This hotel is filled with Ukrainians who have been staying here, some for months, and some of them are now being asked to find alternative accommodations. And that's going to be troublesome for some of the folks living here. Joining me now is someone who's been helping them find those accommodations, John Fowler. So you've been working with some of the Ukrainians who are living here. They don't want their identity known, which we understand, but can you give us a sense of what their situation is and what they're going through right now trying to find accommodation?
Sure, Carolyn. The situation is, last week a lot of the people staying at this hotel have received letters stating that they have 2 weeks, which comes up on now August the 4th, to find alternative residents. They have to vacate the hotel. It was stated that in some cases they can appeal it and have their stay extended for at least another week or 2 weeks. I saw two different versions of the letters. Some were told that they could not appeal and that their situation was they had to be out by August the 4th. Now, I've become friends with a couple of the people here, and they showed me some of their pay stubs. They work full time, but they're bringing home less than $2,000 a month. Now, in searching for houses, we found that the average rent is about $1,800 for a decent place to live. Less than $2,000 when you consider they had to buy food, they have kids. One lady pays over $300 a month for car insurance. So basically, we're suggesting that they're going to be living in poverty or be homeless in less than a week's time. One lady, like I said, she's a single mom with two small kids, around 7 and 11 years old. The other lady has a grown daughter who's 21, but she also has her elderly mother who's 71 here with her. Her husband chose to stay and help with the efforts in the Ukraine. So essentially they're here on their own. And like I said, they both work full time. One took a job as a housekeeper in a different hotel. One lady who has a bachelor's degree in sociology worked at a university back home, but she's taken a job as a baker here in the city. They want to work, they pay their taxes, they want to contribute, and they want to stay in Newfoundland. They don't want to go anywhere else. They love it here, they like the people here, but now all of a sudden they're extremely anxious about having to be out with no help. There's a huge language barrier. I mean, they're studying English in the daytime. They're trying to incorporate themselves into our culture here, but they're not getting How are they going to do it if they're forced to be out on the streets?
Now, the Association for New Canadians says that they do have caseworkers who are helping people find places to live. What have you seen on that front?
Well, in one particular case, I saw the letter, and it did say the ANC Ukrainian residential program was there to help people, but I saw the correspondence, actually have it on my phone, that when the lady says, hey, I do need help, I'm a Ukrainian refugee, I need help to find a place to live, and they wrote, unfortunately, the gist was, we can't help you, we have nothing, and to seek help from your caseworker. But I know from spending the last 5 days phoning, looking up on the internet, and driving around, there's not many places to rent. We also have the university going to be starting up again in the fall semester, and we have all the returning students and all the new students coming here. We have international students coming here. Everybody needs a roof over their heads. So.
And the women that you've been working with, can you give us a sense of how they're feeling about this right now?
They're desperate. I mean, one lady, I saw her crying the other day because she's scared. She's absolutely scared that she may be out on the street. They're very anxious. And one lady even said to me, look, I can't sleep anymore. And now I have to find a second job at night to be able to afford somewhere else to live. So she said, I've given up sleeping. And she has 2 little kids. This is a desperate situation.
What do you think about what's happening here?
I think it's dreadful. I mean, I consider myself very lucky that I have a house, but I feel bad as just a human being. These are people who came over here escaping a war. Now where's the Newfoundland hospitality? Where's our government? Where's Minister Jerry Burin? In this situation, how are we going to help these people? I'm one person looking to try to help people. where's the help going to come from? I feel bad for them.
When I mowed Pat Murphy's meadow in the sunny long ago.
Well, you may have heard the song, but have you been to the place? Just ahead, we revisit the story behind Pat Murphy's Meadow. Well, checks start going out today for people who receive the Canada Workers Benefit. The money is for workers with low-wage jobs, and it's intended to keep them working rather than turn to social assistance. The payout used to be annual, but now it will be deposited throughout the year. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland explained why.
People said to us that money would make much more of an impact if we could get it paid out through the year, if we could use it to pay our bills, maybe not have to borrow some extra money, not have to pay some interest. And so we listened, and people are now going to start getting that support in quarterly payments.
Residents of one Montreal neighborhood are waking up to major flooding this morning. Cars partially submerged and streets are filled with rushing water. Some residents were asked to leave their homes while emergency workers closed off a large section of the area. The cause of the flooding is still unclear. There are unconfirmed reports it could be due to a water main break.
Coming into the wall at 50.75, a really quick time.
Canadian Josh Liendo has qualified for tomorrow's 100-meter butterfly at the World Aquatics Championships in Japan. And Kylie Moss advanced to the women's 200-meter backstroke final. This is the competition's closing weekend. Canada has won 7 medals so far. Well, members of the Canadian women's soccer team have reached an interim agreement with Canada Soccer for 2023 in their fight over player compensation. In a statement, the team says the partial deal covers compensation and prize money from this year's FIFA Women's World Cup, but members add that they are disappointed not to have a more complete deal and stated this is not over. The team is the defending Olympic champion and players had the team is the defending Olympic champion and players had hoped for an agreement before the World Cup started. They've been in a high-profile fight for parity with the men's team for more than a year now. The messy dispute has been dragging on since the last contract expired at the end of 2021. Well, here's an against all odds story of survival that's stranger than fiction. A life form that was in deep freeze since the Ice Age has returned to life.
It's kind of a super fascinating finding to suddenly see living animals crawling out of a piece of soil that has been deep frozen for 46,000 years.
Microscopic worms, frozen in time since woolly mammoths roamed the earth, were thawed out and brought back to life. By using genetic sequencing, scientists recently determined these critters are an entirely new species of roundworm. Researchers say the worms were very hardy and adapted to the extreme cold. They were able to survive temperatures as low as minus 80 degrees Celsius. Scientists believe that studying the tiny creatures could help other species adapt to climate change. Well, it's the George Street Festival this weekend, and you'll hear a few Newfoundland classics in the coming nights with folks like Alan Doyle, Shanneyganock, and the Irish Descendants performing. So it's a good time for us to revisit a series about music and place. Filmmaker Roger Maunder and singer-songwriter Chris Andrews of Shanneyganock takes us to places in the province that have inspired some well-known songs. Tonight, it's the history of Pat Murphy's Meadow.
The autumn days are here again, the night wind chilly blow. The woodland turns to golden hue, and the harvest moon's aglow. Here again of days long past to come, no more I know. When I mow Pat Murphy's meadow in the sunny long ago.
Hi, I'm Chris Andrews. Welcome to Kings Cove, the Athens of the North and the home of Pat Murphy's Meadow. Come on with me. Founded in 1750 when two brothers named Aylward, originally from County Cork, Ireland, but living in Keel's Bonavista Bay, fell out over the sinking of their boat filled with fish and oil bound for St. John's. Kings Cove has survived the last 270 years from the land, but mostly the sea. Having a healthy, bustling community most of its existence, now only 80 people live here full-time. A beautiful, scenic, rural Newfoundland community full of history that is also home to a Newfoundland song that went international.
Hi, my name is Mike Ricketts. I'm the mayor of Kings Cove. The song Pat Murphy's Meadow started out as a poem originally, and there was a guy, J.M. Devine, John Martin Devine. Back in the 30s, he was in the States working in New York, And I guess he got homesick, and he sat down one night and started thinking about home and wrote a poem. It got passed over to the McNulty family, and they put music to it, and they turned it into a song, and it became a hit.
The song has been recorded by many local and international performers and has been played all around the world.
I think it's cool to come out to the actual place that the song is written about, you know, and see it with your own eyes. And now people at home will be able to see it. You know, it's a beautiful spot. You sit here and this amazing view, and it's hard to believe that at one point this was all full of houses and barns and families and children. And would cut the hay off this little meadow to survive. The song is there to remind people about what once was here, and you know, the people that lived here, and just they were good times too, different times, but good times.
If we continue past Pat Murphy's Meadow, it will take us onto Lighthouse Trail, built on Western Point in 1893 at a cost of $4,300. A lot of money back then.
The lighthouse is, let's just say, right on the edge.
The first lighthouse keeper was James Batterton, and the first light was a one-burner kerosene lamp. The lighthouse tradition was passed from generation to generation till the Maddox family took over in 1955, and Tom Walsh was the last keeper of the light in 2000. The lighthouse offers amazing views of the ocean, walking trails, and the UNESCO Geopark at Brook Point.
It's a cool spot, never gets old.
Those days are but a memory, like the snow of yesteryear. And as evening shades are falling all alone, I'll shed a tear. On my cheek I feel the soft touch of the winds that whisper low. When I mowed Pat Murphy's meadow in the sunny long ago. When I mowed Pat Murphy's meadow in the sunny long
Well, it's Friday, so let's find out who's celebrating. Happy golden anniversary to Mike and Dorothy Coleman of Corner Brook. Happy 50th anniversary also to Rosalie and Carl Vincent of Wesleyville. Wishing Jack and Bride Travers of Northern Bay a very happy 50th anniversary today. Another golden celebration, Phil and Pam Hefford of New Harbour are marking their 50th today. Happy 53rd anniversary to Gerald and Barbara Fowler of Kelligrews. Best wishes to Alphonsus and Patsy Reardon of St. Anthony on their 50th anniversary. Congratulations to Joe and Marion Payne, who are from this province but live in Orillia, Ontario. They're marking 53 years of marriage. Happy 50th anniversary to Norm and Shirley Noseworthy of Bell Island, now in CBS. And it's a 53rd anniversary for Rupert and Vicky Dowie of St. Bride's. Congratulations. Happy anniversary to Bessie and Albert Knoll of Carbon, who celebrated their 68th anniversary yesterday. Everett and Margaret Pike are marking 50 years of marriage today. They're from Bloomfield. Happy 60th wedding anniversary to Frederick and Madge Churchill of St. John's. Congratulations to Hector and Sophie Allen from Portugal Cove. They've been married for 58 years. Happy 50th anniversary greetings going out to Winston and Renee House of Queens Cove. Happy 57th anniversary to Raymond and Sandra Pinkson of Deer Lake. Wishing Dak and Liz Burt of Virgin Arm a happy 50th anniversary. Congratulations to Colin and Rosalind Weir of Springdale, who are marking 53 years of marriage. Happy 58th wedding anniversary to Calvin and Amy Ralph of Botwood. Best wishes to Elizabeth and Bill Hurley, who are celebrating their 54th wedding anniversary. Congratulations to Pat and Joan Cheeseman of 80 Town, now living in Mount Pearl. It's their 54th. Wishing Edgar and Shirley Hindy a happy 66th wedding anniversary tomorrow. Happy 62nd anniversary to Jim and Anita Mahoney of St. John's. 50th anniversary greetings going out to Bill and Muriel Finley of Trepassey. Congratulations to Paul and Brenda Foster, who will be celebrating their 60th anniversary on August 3rd. They're in Raymond, New Hampshire, and we're told that they watch Here and Now every night to be reminded of home. Anniversary greetings going out to Mildred and Andrew Rousel of Leading Tickles, now in Botwood. They're celebrating 74 years of marriage. Happy anniversary to Philip and Pamela Hefford of New Harbour. It's their 50th today. Best wishes to Gerald and Irene Hart. They're celebrating 53 years of marriage. Wishing Muriel and Hervin Hall from Three Rock Cove a happy 52nd anniversary. Now to some birthdays. Wishing Marjorie Roberts a happy 91st birthday. She's from Queenstown, New Brunswick, and now lives with her daughter in Labrador City. Happy birthday to William Perry of Millertown, now living in Ottawa. He's turning 90. Happy 90th birthday also to Cliff Thomas from Grand Falls, Windsor. Happy 96th birthday to Joan Tilley of Clarenville. She's a war bride from Scotland. Wishing Jean Hilliard of Bay Roberts a happy 94th birthday. Happy 90th birthday yesterday to Pat Healy of Holyrood. Best wishes going out to Absalom Tucker, who just turned 93. He's living in Mount Pearl. Happy 94th birthday to James Houlihan of Jersey Side, now living in St. John's. Wishing Rex Parsons of Bloomfield a happy 90th birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday to Molly Haynes in Mount Pearl. She's turning 90. Birthday greetings going out to Margaret Dollymont, who's turning 91. She's from St. Joseph's Cove, Beta Spear, but now lives in St. John's. Happy birthday to Teresa Butt of Carbonear. It's her 96th birthday. Wishing Felix Maloney a very happy 93rd birthday. Happy 95th birthday to Helen Spurl in St. John's, and happy birthday to Mary Lawler of Renews. She turned 101 last Sunday. Love and hugs from her entire family, near and far. Another fine crowd. Congratulations once again. Okay, so weekends here. You mentioned earlier that Sunday is looking decent in some places.
For some areas, yeah, we'll see the sun, particularly the eastern portion of the island, it looks like at this point. But let's take a look at what's going on as we head into Saturday evening. and into Sunday morning. So the area of low pressure moves offshore that will be affecting us, but a little trough moves through Labrador, and that's going to spark some showers through the day and also across the island as well. So as you can see there, the Avalon and southern areas of the island at this point will start fairly nice, and then it looks like most of the shower activity should stay into central and the west coast, keeping things fairly dry. Now there's an area of low pressure just to the east. We may see that scrape the Avalon, so we may still see the chance of some showers, but at this point it's looking like that. And then across Labrador, again, the chance of showers will pretty much stick around. Your temperatures will also be a tad cooler, 9 to 17 degrees for those of you in the Big Land. And then for the island, temperatures generally into the 20s. Now, northern peninsula, you will be a bit colder, only hovering around 12 degrees for St. Anthony on Sunday. And then along the south coast of the island, you are in offshore flow, although temperatures will still feel fairly chilly. Or they'll feel nice, but they will be a little colder, so between 19 to 20 degrees. But that's still normal for this time of year. Now, as we head into Sunday evening and then into Monday, we will see the chance of showers up across Labrador and then again across the island, mainly through central and eastern portions of the Avalon and across the south coast as well into Monday evening. So temperatures overall will start to climb up a little bit. So between 20 and 24, 25 degrees through the day, nowhere near as humid. Northern Peninsula, you'll stay pretty much status quo, about 13 degrees, and then between 10 and 17 again across the Big Land. So there's really not a whole lot of change in the forecast through the weekend. This is where we're sitting by the time we get into Monday, 20 degrees, like I said. But Tuesday, those temperatures will hover around 19 degrees. So we're really not seeing too much in the way of movement. Cloudy, but showers will return by the time we get into Wednesday. Your overnight lows between 13 and 14 degrees. For central Newfoundland, Monday dry, but Tuesday and Wednesday will feature some rain, around 22 degrees. And then western Newfoundland, similar forecast as far as those temperatures are concerned. A little more cloudy on Tuesday and shower potential for Wednesday, but some peaks of sun. Eastern Labrador and Western Labrador generally into the teens, maybe reaching the 20-degree mark for Western Labrador as we get into the middle of next week. Here's your forecast, here's your photo of the day. A beautiful shot just before thunderstorm in Twillingate. Called it the calm before the storm. Thank you to Gary for that photo. If you have any weather photos to share with us, send them to Facebook or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, that's great. I love all the colors, the bright colors and that. Very nice.
Always lovely.
I feel like we'll probably be able to hear teeth chattering from Western Labrador with those temperatures. It's such a change.
It's such a change. When you're used to that warm, nice temperature, yeah. When you start to get into those low
digits
teens,
overnight, yeah,
so nice.
yeah, it's quite the change. All right, well, that is it for us on this Friday evening. Hope you have a wonderful weekend.